And the rewards, like if you want to be John Jones, good luck. It's a lot of work. But if you get to be John Jones, like, wow. Imagine that feeling. Imagine that feeling of strangling Cyril Gahn like a minute into the fight. And everybody being like, wow, he's the GOAT. That's
the baddest man on the planet.
He's the GOAT. Tyson Fury is an amazing boxer. He doesn't have a fucking chance in hell of making it out of that room.
Crazy.
He has no chance of making it out of that room.
I think the number one consensus greatest of all time is John Jones. Because John Jones just went up and easily won the heavyweight title with a first round submission. Easily. Just took the guy down, strangled him quick.
Joe Rogan has praised John Jones as he thinks he is the greatest of all time and stating that no one can beat him, not even Tom Aspinall. Joe Rogan praised John Jones as a master strategist, noting how he studies opponents' habits to predict their moves. He cited Jones recognizing Daniel Cormier's tendency to lean right during takedowns, setting up a head kick knockout. Rogan compared it to Leon Edwards' KO of Usman, emphasizing these are calculated, not accidental. However, he admitted that in MMA, no one is unbeatable.
John Jones studies everyone. He studies their tendencies. He gets in his mind how when you throw that left kick, you make this little step with your right foot. You might do this thing when you shoot for a takedown, where you keep your leg on, you keep your head on one side every time. You might do this thing where when someone throws a right hand, you always lean to the left. You might do and John Jones picked up that tendency, and that's how he knocked out Daniel Cormier. He knew Daniel Cormier has a tendency to duck towards his right side because he goes for that single on the left leg, and John caught him with the perfect head kick. But it wasn't by an accident. He set that up. He set it up just like Leon Edwards set up that head kick on Kamaru. There's a beauty to that.
Joe Rogan spoke highly of John Jones's elite fight intelligence, noting that even during periods of personal distraction or physical decline, Jones maintained dominance through sheer skill and mental sharpness. Rogan pointed out that when Jones commits fully to his training, like he did in the rematch against Alexander Gustafsson, he becomes nearly untouchable.
Well, John's fight IQ is insane. Insane. Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
And did a lot of his career partying, which is even crazier. Like, diminished his body, like one of the things he said to Daniel Cormier, which is one of the coldest things anybody's ever said. He said, I beat you when I was on. That's such a cold-blooded thing to say. It's so cold-blooded.
Crazy.
It's so cold-blooded.
Crazy. He's so crazy.
He was so good. But he was so good, he was better than everybody in his division, so he didn't work hard. But then when he has to work hard, he's terrifying. Like when he fought Alexander Gustafsson, barely trained. They said he barely trained, barely was in the gym. They were really worried about him. Greg Jackson said they were even considering not letting him fight. Like, you shouldn't be fighting. You're not training.
Yeah.
And then he guts it out in the final rounds, wins the decision, very close fight. Then they have a rematch. And in the rematch, he trained.
Yeah.
And then he just destroyed him in the rematch.
The first fight.
He described Jones as an entirely different level of competitor when he's locked in, and said that version of Jones ranks among the all-time greats. Turning to Tom Aspinall, Rogan acknowledged his athleticism, size, quickness, and knockout ability, but issued a word of caution. He stressed that Aspinall has yet to be truly tested deep in a fight, and suggested that Jones's experience, composure, and strategic mastery might present a far more complex challenge than anything Aspinall has seen so far.
Focused, and John is in shape and training. He's the greatest of all time. I think he fights Aspinall because I think it's going to be a lot of money. It's glory. And look, Aspinall's amazing. He's unbelievable. He's fast for a heavyweight. He's big. He can grapple. Black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got knockout power. But he's never been in deep water. Ever.
Moreover, Joe Rogan praised John Jones for maintaining an elite level of performance throughout his career, particularly in high-stakes matchups against seasoned opponents like Daniel Cormier. Rogan stressed that Jones's success isn't just rooted in physical gifts, but in his exceptional fighting IQ. He highlighted Jones's ability to control the pace of a fight, strategically outthinking his opponents while minimizing risks, a trait that sets him apart from most fighters.
John dominates everybody. He took down Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is an Olympic wrestler. I mean, he's a phenomenal wrestler. And John took him down. And took him down multiple times. It's a different dude, man. Yeah. This is what we're talking about, like with genetics, right? There's some guys, they're just blessed.
And then with John, it's blessed and his mind. It's not just, it's his personality, his like ruthless competitiveness. It's like he's not going to lose. He's going to find a way to get you. And he's going to do it clever. He's not trying to take a bunch of punishment and to stand and bang. He's not going to point the center of the octagon. Let's go right here. We'll stand right here. Never going to happen with Jon Jones. You're not getting none of that, son. You're getting knees to the gut. You're getting your knees kicked. You're getting just laced up with elbows where your head's bleeding. He's going to slowly dismantle you and find a way to submit you or punish you, beat you to death on the ground.
Rogan also referred to Jon Jones as the boogeyman of MMA, pointing to his uncanny ability to win even when not at his best, such as in his first fight with Alexander Gustafsson, where Jones, despite a limited training camp, pulled ahead in the later rounds. Rogan emphasized that in their rematch, with Jones fully committed and prepared, he demonstrated just how dominant and nearly untouchable he becomes when truly focused.
You're calling out Jon Jones,
Yeah.
right? That's the boogeyman. Like Jon Jones is the boogeyman. When he fought Gustafsson, he had almost no training camp. They said he barely showed up. Talked to Jackson about it, and Greg Jackson was always like he didn't even train for that fight. He pulled that fight off in the 4th and 5th rounds. That's when he really turned it up. So you're talking about a guy who hasn't even been training, and then you saw the real Jon Jones in the second fight. That's motivated Jon Jones.
However, Joe Rogan noted that Jon Jones has previously dealt with fast opponents like Alexander Gustafsson and Lyoto Machida, so adjusting to speed isn't unfamiliar territory for him. He recalled Machida's quickness, which allowed him to land shots on Jones, but pointed out that Machida's strikes came from a lighter frame. In contrast, Rogan emphasized that Tom Aspinall, at 255 pounds, brings a rare blend of speed and heavyweight power, a combination that poses a new and potentially serious challenge for Jones.
But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much of an adjustment. Like Jon's used to really fast people. He fought Lyoto Machida when Machida was in his prime. Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught Jon a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
Joe Rogan suggested that Jon Jones could potentially overwhelm Tom Aspinall with his dominant wrestling, taking the fight to the ground and controlling the pace. He emphasized Jones's grappling as a major advantage, especially against an opponent like Aspinall, whose stamina in the later rounds remains largely untested. Rogan pointed out that because Aspinall has typically finished fights early, it's still unclear how he would perform in the championship rounds.
Who knows if
who
Jon
knows?
beats him? Jon might beat him up.
Yeah, he could.
Jon might take him down and ragdoll him on the ground, like, you know.
Jon easily could. Because we don't know how good Jon is either.
And we also don't know what happens to Tom Aspinall in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds.
He's
We
never
have
been- he's
zero
because
idea.
no one's gotten there.
No one's even gotten close.
Rogan also discussed Jones's physique, describing it as almost custom built for MMA. He highlighted Jones's efficient muscle distribution with strength in his shoulders, arms, and thighs, but unusually small calves combined with a long, rangy frame that gives him a natural edge. According to Rogan, Jones's ability to use his reach and height to control distance is unmatched, and it's one of the traits that makes him such a dominant force in his weight class.
Look how little his calves are.
Yeah.
Like you can see there, they're so small. He's got like literally the perfect frame for fighting because he only has muscle where he needs it. He's got shoulders, he's got arms, he's got
need the calf
he's got
muscle.
thighs. He doesn't need his calves. He's so long. It's like he's designed in a lab. Like if you wanted to design a perfect like physique for fighting, I think it's Jon Jones. And he's a master at distance. He's the best at using this gift that he has, which is being very tall for the weight class.
Joe Rogan also described Jon Jones as having a unique temperament and mentality, coupled with a fierce, almost terrifying competitive drive. He compared Jones to an ancient warrior, suggesting that if he lived 1,000 years ago, Jones would be the one leading a charge on horseback, wielding a battle axe and striking fear into his enemies. Rogan highlighted that while Jones possesses the heart of a conqueror, he is also a sensitive, thoughtful individual striving to be a good man, showing the complexity and depth of his character.
Jon is what I would describe is there's human beings that have different temperament and different minds and different mentality and a ruthless competitive drive that's almost terrifying to the ordinary person. That's Jon Jones. Jon Jones is a bad guy who's trying to be a good guy. But that guy, if we were living 1,000 years ago, he would be on a horse with the biggest battle axe, waiting in the back, hacking heads off, and everybody would be running. And
Right.
those people have always existed.
Right.
These dominators have always existed.
Yeah.
But John is like a genuinely sensitive, intelligent guy
Right.
who's trying to do the right thing.
Right.
But he's a fucking conqueror.
Rampage Jackson also expressed his admiration for John Jones, stating that he doesn't believe anyone can defeat him. Reflecting on their own fight, Rampage acknowledged being in peak physical condition at the time, but still coming up short. While he recognizes Tom Aspinall's danger, Rampage doesn't view him as a significant threat to Jones. He also mentioned hearing that Jones plans to dedicate 6 months to studying Aspinall's game before their potential matchup. Rampage praised Jones's fight IQ, dubbing him the Neo of MMA for his ability to control and manipulate the course of a fight.
You fought John Jones back in the day. People are
Why you only bringing up my losses?
people are all talking about John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. How do you see that fight going? You got Tom or you got John?
Man, I don't think there's nobody on this planet that can beat John Jones because I was in there with him. I was at my best, and I've never lost a fight at my best until John Jones. And you know, no disrespect to Tom Aspinall, but he a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think he's probably second best out there, but I don't see him.
You think John Jones finishes him?
I think John Jones is just a real smart fighter. I heard something like he want to take 6 months before he fight Aspinall. I think it's because he want to study him. He want to break him down. You know, John Jones ain't no fool. He's probably one of the smartest fighters out there. I say he like Neo. He's Neo of MMA.
Georges St-Pierre recently reflected on John Jones's influence on MMA, calling him potentially the most dominant athlete in the sport's history. St-Pierre stated that if he had to choose a fighter to represent MMA in a one-on-one battle, Jones would be his top pick. While acknowledging Jones's legendary status, St-Pierre also pointed out that no athlete can escape the effects of aging indefinitely.
John Jones, you know, it's probably the best fighter that ever lives. You know, talk about if I have to choose someone in his prime that I put in the Coliseum hand to hand, I think it would be John Jones. You know, it's hard to deny that.
Demetrius Johnson acknowledged Tom Aspinall's talent, but suggested that John Jones would likely defeat him with ease. He expressed more excitement for a potential matchup between Jones and Aspinall than one between Jones and Pereira, predicting Jones would dominate the fight. Johnson also noted that Aspinall's reported $30 million demand could complicate negotiations for the bout.
John Jones will smoke Tom Aspinall.
I don't know, man.
Man, he'll smoke Aspinall.
Tom Aspinall is athletic. I think Tom Aspinall will try to take the fight to John Jones, and it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'd rather see that fight over Alex Pereira.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Like,
I would like to see that fight over Alex, but come on, man. Aspinall is a great fighter.
Yep.
He's a good champion.
Aspinall.
That's what I said. John Jones will smoke Aspinall.
Yeah.
Smoke him.
I can't wait to see. I hope it happens. That's the fight that needs to happen. I
Why-
think Tom Aspinall versus John Jones needs to happen.
Why do you think there's so much friction there? Why do you think it's not happening? Why? Because we see so
I
much.
think John
on the
Jones said
internet.
he wants $30 million.
Aljamain Sterling expressed intrigue over a potential matchup between John Jones and Tom Aspinall, but admitted it's hard to bet against Jones. He pointed out Jones's mental toughness and tactical brilliance as key elements that give him the upper hand. While acknowledging Aspinall's athleticism and potential, Sterling cautioned that if Jones could take the fight to the ground, his superior wrestling and control from the top would likely secure him the advantage.
It's a very intriguing fight. If I had to put money on it, it'd be super hard for me to bet against a guy like Jones, just because I know the mindset that he comes in with. Not saying Aspinall couldn't get it done because of all those physical gifts that he has, but dog, betting against a guy like that,
Yeah.
if he gets you on the ground, that's just a bad night.
Frank Mir also believed that John Jones would have the advantage over Tom Aspinall, mainly due to his superior wrestling and ability to control the fight from the top. Mir argued that Jones could neutralize Aspinall's jiu-jitsu by out-positioning him and applying effective ground and pound. While he acknowledged that a victory over Aspinall would be notable, Mir emphasized that it wouldn't significantly impact Jones's legacy, as Jones is already regarded as one of the greatest fighters of all time.
I think Tom might have the best chance of anybody to beat John right now. But that being said, I still think John wins the fight just because of his wrestling. I think he puts, Tom on his back and is able to nullify his jiu-jitsu from being top position with his elbows and control. What does John win to take that fight? He goes out there and beats Tom. Is it really going to make or break his career? I don't think anybody gives a shit.
But on the other hand, UFC welterweight champion Bilal Muhammad believes Tom Aspinall could present John Jones with his toughest challenge, highlighting Aspinall's strength and speed as key attributes of the new generation generation of fighters. While Muhammad thinks Jones would still likely win, he suggested the fight would only make sense if the financial rewards are substantial. He anticipates Dana White will push for the bout due to its potential for a big payday, but speculated that Jones, having already cemented his legacy, would likely prioritize a fight with Alex Pereira unless the payout reaches between $30 and $50 million.
If I'm John Jones, like a lot of people consider him the GOAT, the best fighter ever do it. The next hungry lion is Aspinall. It's probably the toughest fight that he'll have. Like, this guy's the next generation. He's a lot stronger, a lot faster. But I think John Jones is good enough to beat him. But it's like, it has to be worth it. The fans are fickle, right? You lose one fight, they're gonna, he sucks. Right? They just care about your last win or your last loss. I think Dana White and them will end up making it. Dana White's a smart businessman. He knows how much money that fight would make. If I'm John Jones, you've already done everything in the sport. It's not worth it unless it's that $30 million, $50 million payday. If I'm John Jones, I'm picking out Pereira first over Aspinall.
Eddie Hall also expressed strong confidence that Tom Aspinall would defeat John Jones if they ever faced off. While acknowledging Jones's legendary status in MMA, Hall believes Aspinall's talent, speed, and potential would give him the upper hand.
John Jones or Tom Aspinall. So if you don't know MMA world, sorry to bore you, but Tom Aspinall is UFC's #1 right now. John Jones is, he's seen as the best MMA fighter on the planet. Dana White's got a massive for him, says he's unbeatable. Honestly, I think if you put John Jones and Tom Aspinall in a room and said one man leaves, I think Tom Aspinall leaves that room. I genuinely do. I think, and I think John Jones, I mean, I can't badmouth the guy. He's got an amazing record, but he's definitely ducking Tom Aspinall, 100%. And I think he's even said he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall after his next fight. He's pretty much going to retire after this fight, so he's ducking Tom Aspinall.
He also criticized Jones for appearing to avoid the fight, suggesting that his hesitation indicated fear. Hall emphasized that actions speak louder than words and maintained his belief that Aspinall would come out on top if the two ever met inside the octagon.
I mean, he can say what he wants, but actions speak louder than words, so there we go. Anyway, the answer to that question is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall's kicking John Jones.
Coach Eric Nixick acknowledged that Tom Aspinall's hand speed could give him an advantage over John Jones, but he also highlighted Jones's exceptional ability to control his opponent's hands. He referenced Jones's fight with Stipe Miocic, where Jones neutralized Miocic's jab by switching to southpaw, effectively leaving Miocic with only his cross, which Jones then timed perfectly. Nixick also shared a conversation with Aspinall, discussing the importance of avoiding Jones's control, particularly in the B range. He emphasized that Aspinall must stay aggressive in those moments to prevent Jones from dictating the pace and flow of the fight.
What advantages do you see that he has over John Bones Jones?
I think hand speed. But what John does very well, and what we saw in the Stipe fight, is John will occupy your hands. So Stipe's one of his best weapons was always his jab. So you saw John switch to southpaw, lead hand occupy, which left Stipe with one punch, which was cross. So he was timing the cross to pull off and then was adding on. So I think when you break that fight down, I actually talked to Tom on Monday. We were kind of going back and forth a little bit on some of the game planning things. You can't be in that B range and just kind of get snake charmed by John. Let him grab your hands, let him dictate the pace, let him dictate the rhythm. You have to be hyper aggressive in those positions, and I think that's what Tom would have to do in that fight.
Curtis Blades gave Tom Aspinall a narrow 55% advantage over John Jones, but acknowledged that beating Jones would still be a major challenge. Blades pointed out Jones's well-rounded skill set and wealth of championship experience, noting that these factors make him a constant danger and ensure that any bout with him is a tough test for Aspinall.
I think Aspinall beats him.
Yeah, I would pick him. Like, I would go 55% him. Obviously, it's not gonna be a landslide. Like, we're going against John Jones. He's a legend. You got all the weapons.
Dirtiest du Plessis praised Tom Aspinall for his drive and determination, while acknowledging that John Jones is likely nearing the end of his legendary career. He expressed a hope that Jones would retire on a high note, safeguarding his legacy, and looked forward to Aspinall representing the next wave of fighters. However, du Plessis also highlighted Jones's incredible ability to effortlessly dominate even the toughest opponents, reinforcing his place as one of the greatest in MMA history.
Aspinall is young, he's hungry. You have Jones, who is definitely at the end of his career, 38 years old. I don't need to see this because he's never been beaten. I want John Jones to retire unbeaten, and I want him to retire, and Aspinall goes on to be the next big thing. But John Jones being the warrior that is, he says, pay me enough and I'm doing it. Aspinall wants it, and one of them has to lose that fight. And that's the one thing, you look at it and go, Aspinall's probably going to win. But then, if you ask me that, I say, no. We've said that so many times with John Jones, and it makes it look easy. He is the greatest of all time, for sure.
That's it for today's video. What do you think about their fight? So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen right now.